It's 97.1 FM The Drive, Chicago's classic rock, Sherman Tingle. Boy, who are we joined here by today?
The legend, Lou Gramm.
Yes, I mean, one of the originals of Foreigner. Lou Gramm, welcome to Chicago.
Thanks. Good to be here. It's been a little while since I've been here.
When's the last time?
City. I think 2-3 years ago.
Okay. How you been? How you feeling?
Great. I've been great. Yeah, very good. Very good.
You know, you share something with Tingle right there. Tingle also had a brain tumor. He had a brain tumor, and you're tumor brothers.
Wow. Mine was baseball size right here, and I lost my eyes for 6 months.
Jeez.
And that was pretty interesting. And
non-cancerous though, right?
Yeah, non-cancerous. They didn't know what it was, so for 2 weeks I had to wait for the results, and that was the longest 2 weeks of my life.
Holy Christmas.
Yeah, it was nuts. What about you? How was yours?
I just started having bad headaches and short-term memory loss.
What was the recovery process?
Well, I couldn't get anybody to operate on it.
Why?
Because of where it was and how complicated it was. That normal surgery would have been just a death sentence. So I went to about 2 or 3 doctors and had MRIs, and they all told me that I should get my affairs in order.
What a hell of a thing to say.
How did that sink in?
I mean, I kind of went into shock. So I went back from New York City to Rochester to put my affairs in order.
Well, I mean, you jumped right back on the road, though, right afterwards.
Well, you know what? My surgeon told me because of the length and breadth of the operation, he didn't want me touring for at least a year to a year and a half. Now, when I went in the hospital, Foreigner had to cancel a number of shows. So our manager rebooked the shows for 2 months after my surgery. The doctor wanted me not to perform for a year to a year and a half.
Were you not in the position to go, hey, listen, I need my rest?
Yeah, how'd you feel about it? What'd you want to do?
I wanted to do what the doctor wanted me to do.
Yeah.
But Foreigner's manager said, look, we had to cancel a number of shows because of your surgery, and we have to make them up now or we're going to be sued.
Well, like, tough. I just went through a brain surgery.
No, I know, but I did the shows.
Wow.
But listen to this. I couldn't remember any of the words. I had to have the first 2 or 3 words of each verse written out and taped to the floor in a semicircle for all the songs that we did. And, you know, I used to move around a lot when I was on stage. I had to plant myself and keep looking over at the words to make sure I'd remember.
Do you still have to do that? Like,
no. That was only for about 6 months on that tour. After that, I was fine. But
Lou's like, it is cold as I love.
You're just looking for the crowd to give you the words. So obviously you're not having anything taped down on the floor then at the Arcada on Saturday.
No, not at all. I was on massive steroids, and within 6 months my weight doubled. I was 145 pounds at that time of my life, and I had been for 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Within a year, my weight doubled.
When you got off the steroids, did it go back down?
It went back down.
Or did it
didn't go
take
back
effort?
all the way, but it's gone back down a lot. You know, but I had to throw every stitch of clothes that I had been wearing to that point. I just donated them to the Salvation Army.
Right.
I was wearing size 42 waists.
No kidding.
Yep.
What is your favorite song? I mean, so many people have so many favorite Foreigner songs. The ones that you sing, which one do you still get a charge out of singing? I mean, there's so many of them that you have that I'm obviously going to sing.
You know, they're like your children.
Yeah.
Which one do you like the best?
I want to know what Love is. Is that one that sticks out as a good one or not so much?
I think it's a good one. It's not my favorite, but I enjoy singing it for sure. Jukebox Hero. Yeah. Definitely.
Is there a song that's most challenging to sing? After all these years?
Jukebox Hero.
That's it?
Yes, very, very challenging.
Okay.
You know, the high notes on that are through the stratosphere.
Lou, what's the one lesson you learned early on that has served you well today?
When you're done with the show, don't talk.
Don't talk?
Why do you say that?
Just to save your voice?
To let your vocal cords recover.
Okay, that's I could see that, especially if you're straining. I mean, there's some songs you really got to get into.
Yeah, you know what? When we recorded these songs, we would be Mick and I would be working on the songs, and so basically the song was done. He goes, "Let's try it a half a step up." So we try it a little higher, and it sounded good there too. And I said, "Mick, that sounds good." He says, "Yeah, but let's try it another half a step up." So we tried another half a step up, and I'm straining at the top of my voice, and I'm going, "Man, that's difficult." He goes, "That's what I'm looking for." I says, "Yeah, but you're not going to have to sing this 3 times a week."
Yeah,
You know,
Mick Jones, obviously.
yeah, it'll be fine, Lou. You know.
Yeah.
So we recorded and performed the songs to the top of my range, very top of my range. And if we had done 3 or 4 shows a week, my range was down a little bit. So I'd be struggling to hit those high notes.
Like the one that comes to mind with you doing that was Yesterday. That was, you really belt out on that one.
Yeah, that's a great song.
A great song, and I would think that it would be very difficult live because you really gotta save that till like towards the end of the show when you would do that.
Yep.
I could see that.
It should be towards the beginning of the show. Really.
Do you talk with Mick? I know you guys kind of had your ins and outs with
I haven't spoken to him in a long time.
No.
I think the last time we spoke was just after the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Which we got inducted to in 2013.
Are you okay with that?
Am I okay with not talking to him? I think so.
What was the last when you talked to him? What was the last thing you guys said to each other? Was that the deciding factor that you guys don't talk anymore? Or?
I had been out of the band since 2003, and so that was 10 years later we got inducted to the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and he was cordial, and you know, I was friendly, and we performed a couple songs, he and I, with a backup band on stage for the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the song sounded good, and you know, we got a great ovation when we received our awards and stuff, but there that old friendship was not there.
No.
Was it kind of awkward in a way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a video of you. You were up on stage. It was with the singer that they had replace you. It was Kelly Hansen, and you were up on stage together, which it seemed like that would be weird for you.
It was very weird.
Yeah, because you're like, this was the band I was in, and this is the guy that took over for me, kind of trying to sound like me.
He does try and sound like me.
Yeah, I was curious what was going through your mind in that.
Well, those shows were for the 40th or the 45th anniversary of the band, and so the idea was to have the original Foreigner play a set, and then have the new Foreigner play a set, and so the original Foreigner sounded pretty damn good. You know, we got great response from the audience and stuff too, and his new band was all right too. And at the end of the show, we had to do a song together. You know, all the songs he sang that were my songs that he's doing now, he didn't put his own personality in it. He sang them exactly note for note the way I sang them.
It was like a karaoke version.
Yes, and I just, it wasn't insulting, but it was just like, I don't understand. You know, you're a good singer. They got you in the band. Put your personality to the song. You know.
Yeah.
You don't have to change the song so nobody recognizes it, but you know, let yourself be part of the song. I don't think Mick told him, look, you better sing it like Lou or else. You know.
I would think it just. I can't imagine being Kelly Hansen and then coming up to you. I would feel like like somebody doing an impression. You know, when you do an impression of somebody and that somebody's right next to you, it would feel weird to me. I don't know.
I know what you're talking about. I can see that. Yeah.
I'm sure that you had the upper hand in that. You're like, yeah, well, I'm the guy that you're copying. So how you doing?
Hey, Lou, I want to do a line of questions with you. Just kind of go back in time, get some great stories from you.
Okay.
About the past. Let's start with the first one right here. The funniest memory from a band that you toured with.
When we toured with Journey, back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And those were great shows because Journey's a great band. And we were playing, I think, in St. Louis, the old Checker Dome, the hockey arena that they had there.
Okay.
And the show went real well for both of us. And the next morning, I was downstairs in the hotel having breakfast, and Steve Perry comes over and, "Hey, Luke, can I sit down with you?" I said, "Sure, come on, sit down." He has a cup of coffee, and we're talking, and he says, "I've got an idea." He goes, "Why don't we take your drummer, my bass player, your keyboard player, my guitar player, and you and me, and form a super group." And my eyes are starting to roll to the back of my head. You know, I'm going, he's still high, isn't he? and I'm going, "Steve, that's a great idea."
Yeah.
I says, when you get that together, give me a call, will you?
Yeah. How funny, like parallel. You guys are very parallel, you know? You were in bands, and then, you know, somebody else comes in and tries to copy the voice. Do you ever have you talked to Steve Perry in recent years?
I mean, he left that band.
Yeah.
You know.
But then they had somebody that tries to sound just like him, so
Yep.
it works out.
All right, Lou. The craziest thing you ever experienced involving a fan?
This fan that I was getting very, very crazy and lewd, obscene fan letters from,
Oh, really?
who sending me pictures of her
Right.
naked and telling me explicitly what she wanted to do to me when she saw me. And she was not attractive. and I was, and she let me know that she would be at this next show we were playing. And it was a little picture that she sent me, but I cut her face out and blew the picture up, and then we passed it around to the security guys at the show. We were going, "If you see somebody who looks like this, don't let them in."
Did she ever show?
Yeah, she showed.
Yeah?
Yeah, she showed. They missed her, and she was in the front where the fans were.
Just staring at you.
No, shaking her boobs and
Okay.
and all sorts of obscene gestures, and I started singing from behind the drums.
That's great.
Nervous.
Okay, now let's go back way before Foreigner,
Okay.
to when you were a kid. The story behind the time you got in the most trouble as a kid. Were you a good kid?
I was a good kid, yeah.
Okay. Maybe in trouble at school or from your parents?
Oh no, I know exactly the time I got in trouble.
Okay.
In 1965, the Rolling Stones came to Rochester, New York. Little old Rochester, New York. Rolling Stones came to Rochester, New York. And their big hit at that time was "Can't Get No Satisfaction." Okay? And I remember being at the dinner table the night of the show and telling my parents that I wanted to see the show. I had some friends who had tickets, and I wanted to go to the show and have fun with my friends. And I saw my dad look at my mom, and my mom cast my dad a sideways look, and they said, "I don't think so, Lou. The answer's no. We don't think it's a good idea, and that's all we want to say about it." So I got mad, and I pushed myself back from the table and stomped off upstairs to my bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't upset up there. I was getting ready to go to show. So I got my best duds on, my British Walkers, my tight jeans, and my Madras shirt. And when I was all set, I ran down the stairs and out the front door and started running down the street to a main road. And when I was almost to the main road, I heard way off in the distance, "Louis, I'm gonna kill you.
That's got to be mom.
This was my father.
Oh, it was your father. Okay.
And I heard that. And I started to laugh, and then I got a chill up my spine, and I kind of, he means it.
Yeah.
And I started hitchhiking. I got picked up by another car that was going to see the Stones too. So they dropped me off. I met my friends, and this girl I had a crush on was part of a bunch of friends that I met, and she had a haircut. She had blonde hair. She had a haircut like Brian Jones. Do you remember Brian Jones? Mm-hmm. He had the bangs that kind of hung down, and the hair that stopped right here was kind of just boofed a little bit. And so that concert in Rochester, when the Stones were about 2/3 done with their set, the chief of police and about 4 policemen walked up on stage. All right, and the spotlight went off of Jagger and onto the chief of police, and he went out right on stage and waved the Stones off in the middle of a song. All right.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And they stopped, and you could see them looking at each other. They were pissed, And the chief of police grabs Jagger's mic off the stand and comes up to the edge of the stage and says, we brought the Stones here. I was hoping you would act like young ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going, what the hell is he talking about? He says, but I could see you're misbehaved. You're wild. You're not acting the way I think people your age should act. And
he's the moral police on top of it.
Yeah. And he says, and this concert is over. Okay, and the Stones, they're freaking pissed. They're indignant.
Yeah.
And they all stomp off stage, and the crowd's going bananas, all right? And the spotlight's still on the chief of police, and you could see something like this heading towards the stage. And what it was, you remember the old pack of gums that they had where they had 5 or 6 sticks wrapped real tightly?
Yeah.
It was one of those, and it was doing this. And
Twirling.
It hit him right in the eye, all right? And he went backwards, and the officers caught him before he hit the ground, and his eye was bleeding, right? And so then he comes up and he goes, "This concert is definitely over," And then the audience started going crazy, all right, and they rioted.
Yeah.
And it was not a pretty scene. And that was a very strange night.
Did your father murder you when you got home?
Well,
I'm waiting.
listen.
I'm waiting for a death at the end of the story.
Okay, listen to this now. So we went over to that girl that I had a crush on. One of her friends went over to one of her friends' house and stayed there. I didn't realize till 1:45 in the morning. I was 15 at the time. All right.
You're pot committed. You're like, I'm already out this late. Why not keep going?
Yeah, I knew I was dead when I got home.
Yeah.
So
live it up.
finally, I told her that I'd better get home, and I didn't know how I was going to get home. I only had some change in my pocket, so everybody who was there put a little change from their pockets, and I had a pile of change, and we called the taxi cab. So I had about $7 in change. And the cab's going down the street. I'm still about 1.5 miles from my house, and I see $7 click on his meter. And I decided not to say anything. So by the time we pulled up to my house, it was about $10. Okay? And I said, thanks for the ride. I says, I don't know how much is here. I says, but this is all I've got. And I went to give him the change. He goes, I don't want that. He says, okay, he says, the ride's on me. He says, you keep the change.
Oh, you got lucky on that.
And then were murdered by your father.
Yeah, I got out of the car. I went to the front door. The door was unlocked, which I thought was really strange.
They were waiting.
And I opened the door. I went in. I shut the door. I locked it. I started walking towards the stairs to go up to my bedroom, and all of a sudden, a lamp in the living room, the light goes on in the living room.
Right there on the couch.
Yeah, my dad was sitting there. He goes, "So, did you have a good time?" I said, "I had a great time." I says, "I met up with my friends. We had a terrific time. The Stones were great." I says, I went back to my friend's house for a little while and caught a cab home." He goes, "I want you to know," he says, "you're grounded. Indefinitely." He said, "You know what indefinitely means?" I says, "For a long time." He goes, "Longer than that."
Forever.
Yeah. And I went, "Oh, Dad," I says, "I didn't do anything that bad. Why are you punishing me like this, you know?" He says, "Go up to your room." He says, "I don't want to talk to you anymore, you know." And I went, "Oh, nuts." I says, "This is not fair." And I stomped up to my room, and I closed the door, and I'm going,
You're excited.
I had a great time.
I thought I was going to get creamed.
Not
you
beat
know?
up, yeah.
And I only got grounded forever. That was,
It's not bad.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, I was out and around again.
Right.
Oh, I was going to say, you shouldn't be here then, or at the Arcata tomorrow night. You're grounded still
Yes,
from
I am.
your father.
Yeah, right.
Lou, the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you as a performer?
I think it was. I think we were in Japan, and I was fighting a cold, and I was gargling and doing Vicks Vapor Rub and just trying to get my voice in shape enough to at least be able to do the songs, you know, instead of canceling the show. And I went out there and I was singing all right. I knew I wasn't at my best, but the audience seemed really happy, you know, and but I could felt whatever I had was deteriorating as the set went on, you know.
Okay.
And finally we got to Jukebox Hero, and I sang the song, and it was time for me to do the Jukebox Hero, and I went.
Nothing came out of your mouth.
Nothing came out, you know.
Voice is cashed.
And I got one eye open. I'm looking at the audience, and they're all going.
That was you blame. That's what you do. You blame the crowd. That was your part. You're supposed to jump in on that part.
Well, what I did was I hit my mic, like the mic cut out.
Yeah.
You know.
The sound
That's a
guy.
good cover.
Blame it on the sound guy.
That's a good cover.
Yes.
Well, obviously you're going to be at the Arcata tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've got a great band around me.
And you brought somebody with you here today with a guitar. Who did you bring here, Lou Gramm?
I brought my guitar player. He's an awesome guy. He's got quite a name for himself.
Isn't your guitar player dating that one crazy lady who sent you those pictures?
No.